All right, how do we deal with parentheses? So here we have an algebraic expression that has parentheses in it. And if we put it inside of an equation like this, it's very similar to what we were dealing with before. But that side of the equation has parentheses in it, and that's what I'm going to have to teach you to deal with today. Now, over here on the second equation, we would want to combine where possible, but it has no parentheses, so we can jump straight into combining like terms. Meanwhile, with this parentheses right here, the parentheses are like, whoa, you can't do anything until you get rid of parentheses. So as a quick refresher, let's deal with the equation that has no parentheses in it. And the first thing I would say is are there any like terms on the same side of the equal sign? Well, 2x minus 6x is what you would put together in your head. 2 minus 6 is negative 4. They both have an x, so just slap an x there. And do you see how I write the negative 4x right underneath the first term that I put together? That's just a general little rule that I use to keep things nice and neat. Now, anything else that we don't use falls straight down. Now, negative 4x plus 4, that's a two-step equation. So get rid of the add number first by doing the opposite to both sides. The negative 4x wasn't used, so we drop that straight down. The 4's are gone, and 20 minus 4 is 16. Since the negative 4 is multiplying, we need to turn around and divide. X, in this case, is negative 4. Okay. So what about the parentheses? How do we get rid of it? That is the rule. Before you can combine any like terms on the same side of an equation, you have to get rid of the parentheses first. You have to. Otherwise, you won't get the right answer most of the time. So find the number that's touching the outside of the parentheses. In this case, I see that 3 right there. So I'm going to take that, but I'm also going to take the sign in front of it, or literally to the left of it. Okay? That is a minus sign. But for this step of getting rid of the parentheses, we're going to consider that minus sign a negative. If it was a plus sign, we would consider the number a positive. Now, what we do at this time is we take that number and its sign on the outside of the parentheses, and we multiply all of the terms inside of the parentheses. So in this case, there's a c, and I would just think of that as a 1c there. You can just slap a 1 on there if you want, or just know it's a 1. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. And since there was a c involved, just let that c run along with the negative 3. So negative 3 times 1c is negative 3c. Write that right underneath what you are combining right there. Now, take the negative 3 again and times it by the 5. That's the other term inside of the parentheses, right? Again, we're going to steal the sign in front of the 5, or to the left of the 5. So that plus we're going to think of as positive. So negative times positive is negative 15. Please write negative 15 right beside the negative 3c. So what's happened there is that we have gotten rid of everything there to get rid of parentheses, and it's created negative 3c minus 15 underneath it. The 8c can come straight down, and the equals 40 can come straight down. And now we just switch over to say, hey, are there any like terms? Yeah, 8c minus 3c is 5c. You can see where I wrote that underneath the first term that we put together. The minus 15 equals 40 comes down, and now we do have the ability to squish them together if you want, okay? Makes it look a little better. Get rid of the minus 15 first by adding 15 to both sides. Drop the 5c, and we get 55. Now we can divide both sides by 5, and c equals 11. So that's how we get rid of parentheses, and that's also how we can go through and solve an entire equation that has parentheses in it and combining like terms. But we really just care about the skill of getting rid of the parentheses in these expressions or equations. So let's just practice on getting rid of the parentheses and then combine like terms. We find the number outside the parentheses with the sign in front of it, and we multiply the terms inside. So negative 3 times 1c is negative 3c, right? That right underneath it. And then negative 3, that's in red, times the plus 5 is negative 15, so we'd write minus 15 right there, or negative 15 right there, right? And then the 8c comes down. Is there anything we can put together? Yeah, 8c minus 3c is 5c, and that is simplifying the expression. It's not an equation, we just have to put together the like terms that we're able to after we get rid of the parentheses. So let's go try this one. Negative 2 times positive 3b is negative 6b. Negative 2 times positive 1 is negative 2. So we write minus 2 or negative 2 right there. And then the 11 just drops down. In this case, the 6b is the only term that has a b in it, but the 11 and the minus 2, they're like terms. They don't have any variables. So 11 minus 2 is 9, and I'm going to write the 9 right underneath the 11. And then the minus 6b, we can just drop straight down and circle it. That is our simplified expression. That's combining like terms. Over here for this one would be a negative 2 times 1x, so that's a negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. So I'll write a 6 there, and I go, ooh, it's got stuff in front of it, so I need to put a plus sign there because it's positive. The 7x can come down. Combine the 7x minus 2x into 5x, and drop the plus 6. You can squish them together if you want, but there's your simplified answer. Over here, we have a negative 3 times 1x, right? It's got to times everything inside of the parentheses. So negative 3 times 1x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times the, in this case, it says minus 8, so we'll think of it as negative 8. Negative 3 times negative 8 is positive 24. So again, we're going to write plus 24 there. The 5 never was used, so it drops down, and the plus 6x never was used, so that drops down. What can I put with the 5? Plus 24. So those two together equal 29. And then what can I put here? Negative 3x plus 6x. That would be a positive 3x. So I'm going to write plus 3x right there underneath the first term as best I can of what was combined in the orange there. So 29 plus 3x. So how do I deal with these expressions or equations that have parentheses? Before you combine like terms, use the distributive property. That's where we did the multiplying. Use the distributive property to get rid of the parentheses first. Then you can go back and combine like terms if any exist. And really, if you can get rid of parentheses and combine like terms, that does most of the work in solving the equations.